Welcome in, everyone. This is Pete B from the 2D podcast, but this is not going to be a full podcast episode today. This is just going to be a short video on how I see Antwaun Powell-Ryland, or APR as we call him, will fit in on the Philadelphia Eagles, where he was just drafted in the 6th round, and I could not be more pumped. Most people know that I'm an Eagles fan. If you listen to the podcast, you know I talk about growing up in Delaware. I lived less than an hour from the stadiums. I lived in Philly after Tech for a period of years, met my wife there, and now I'm in the greater Philadelphia area in South Jersey in the burbs. And so watching every game APR played at Virginia Tech and being a lifelong Philadelphia fan make me uniquely qualified to do a short video here on his pro prospects in Philly. Just as we're getting started, I am wearing the Philly Rowback. This one's called the John. They have a lot of different ones, but it's Eagles Midnight Green. I got it as a Christmas gift from one of my sisters, and I love it. It's got the eagle head, cheesesteaks, some icons on the thing here. But you can use code 2DVT to get 20% off your order at rowback.com. They got all the different polos, colleges, the state polos. You guys know it well if you pay attention to the show. But if you don't, and this is your first time watching a 2Deep video, use code 2DeepVT to get 20% off your order. And make sure you like the video for me here. So APR picked in the 6th round, number 209 overall. Aeneas Peebles went one pick after him to the Ravens, which I also think is a great fit, but that's not what this video is about. 5 total Hokies taken in the draft. We had Tootin in round 4, Lane in round 4, then Strong, APR, and Peebles. So good year for the Hokies in the draft. Me and Sam will talk about it on our next show. So Antwaun went to a Virginia high school, but he ended up choosing the Florida Gators out of high school to go down there and play. And he did well there. He didn't start right away, obviously, but he came around, and by the end of his Florida tenure, he was starting games in the SEC. He decides to hit the spring portal window. I believe it was in 2023. We pick him up, and from everything we heard, it was instant chemistry with the coaching staff and just being in Blacksburg when he came home, right? As we like to say, this is home. He came back to Virginia, and he hit the ground running. And we were getting clips coming out of practice. He's beating the blockers over and over again, getting to the quarterback. And we thought we might have the next great Virginia Tech pass rusher. And he lived up to every bit of that hype, in my opinion. And I'll talk about his numbers here shortly. So his pro scouting profiles, you get a mixture of things. But from my eye, one thing that was repeatedly said, his versatile skill set, the amount of things he had in his bag, as the kids like to say, on how to get to the quarterback. And he could do the spin move. He could hit you with the hands, and a lot of things that what they say in the profiles is violent hands. And he's got a great motor, but that word violent is, he's just a violent player. Like, that's not just the hands, that's the way he moves, the way he gets to the quarterback, the way he closes on the quarterback and takes them down. It is violent. And that is one of the coolest things about him. But to have all those various skills on how to beat the blocker, beat the end, beat the tackle, whatever it is, he has it. He has it at an early age. Now, there are cons. I'll mention them in a second. But he's one of the fastest defensive ends in this draft. His 40 time was very good. He can close. His suddenness off the ball was criticized to an extent. Maybe not the quickest guy off the snap, but I do think he has a certain quickness. There isn't like a 3-cone drill number because he didn't do that at the combine, but he has explosiveness. Like, his vertical was 36.5 inches, really good vertical. His RAS score was in the 90th percentile. I'll come back to that. So getting off the line, maybe not the fastest in the world, but everything else about him from a technical standpoint, I think is at a pretty high level. His position versatility is something that's also going to help him in his pro career. I think he could fit in a 3-4 outside linebacker role. However, what the Eagles play and where he got drafted, I think will fit him best. Just being a traditional pass rusher coming off the edge. Now, him being a tweener, maybe being a little on the shorter side, that's one of his cons. Not the biggest guy, although he is 6'3", 258 right now. Brandon Graham was 6'2" and always known to be a little bit undersized. Now, Brandon Graham was a special athlete. We know that coming out of Michigan. Brandon Graham was a top 15 pick, and had a ton of things in his bag as well. But I do think BG in general is kind of a good comp for APR size wise and what APR's upside could be. If he has 60% of the career that Brandon Graham had, it would be absolutely incredible. But the production in college is what I'm going to talk about now. It's 16 total sacks this past year in 2024. It was 9.5 sacks the year before. So 25.5 sacks over the last 2 years. That is the most in college football over that span, the most sacks of any player. And if you just want to talk about this year, the most sacks per game of any power conference player other than Ezeraku. Ezeraku had 16.5 sacks in 12 games. APR had 16 sacks in 12 games. Let's go to Abdul Carter. 12 sacks in 16 games. So the exact inverse. And I know Abdul is absolutely amazing. I'm not trying to rag on him. I'm just trying to emphasize the production that APR put up because it really is insane. In his career, Antwaun Powell-Ryland put up 4 sacks in 3 different games. That shows you the upside because that is so hard to do. No other player did that in this class, had 3 games in their career where they had 4 sacks. No other player in this class. Kennard did it once, and it's hard to find any other guys who did it once. Abdul Carter, go back to him, never had more than 2 sacks in a game in his career. So when APR was on, when he was playing at his highest level and maybe felt that he had an advantage, he exploited it again and again. And 2 of those games where he had 4 sacks were against power teams. Now, one was against ODU, but what I'm telling you, like all these guys play some cupcakes, and none of them did that 3 times in their career. So extremely impressive just from the production. In terms of his pick in the draft, why did he drop to the 6th round, number 209 overall? Well, as Todd McShay said, this was perhaps the deepest D-line group in draft history, at least in the modern era. As long as we've had all these advanced scouts doing this, it's perhaps the deepest edge class, D-line class in the history of the draft. And so in most drafts, I prefer to believe, and I know I wear orange and maroon glasses from time to time, that he would have gone a round earlier, maybe 2 rounds earlier. It just kind of depends on the runs on positions and all the other stuff. You guys follow draft? No. I just think that in most drafts, he's a 4th or 5th round pick at worst. And I think that the Eagles picking him at 209 got some good upside. So now let's go to his fit with the Eagles. We know we lost Josh Sweat, another Virginia kid that VT desperately wanted back in the day. Sidebar. And we lost Brandon Graham to retirement. Milton Williams at the defensive tackle position also leaves. There is opportunity on the roster behind Nolan Smith. And so I'm going to add the Eagles depth chart to the screen. This is a projected 2025 defensive depth chart for the Eagles. You see Nolan Smith at the one edge and you see Jalix Hunt at the other edge, a guy that the Eagles have a lot of hope for. And in the playoffs, we saw Jalix match his sack total from the regular season in the playoffs. He had 1.5 sacks in the regular season and 1.5 sacks in the playoffs. And so coming out of a smaller school, they think Jalix Hunt can take that next step. But there is nevertheless huge opportunity behind Nolan Smith because Nolan Smith is going to step up into that starting edge role and be absolutely incredible this year. I really believe that. But you got Bryce Huff still on the team. Who knows when or how that saga is going to end, but I can't imagine he's going to be playing too many snaps for the Eagles. I could be wrong. We brought in Ojulari. We brought in Josh Uche. Patrick Johnson is back on the team for his 2nd stint, even despite getting put on waivers. But that kind of gives you an idea of where they're at on the end. They're trying to bring in some guys, but no one is really blowing your skirt up. There is an opportunity for APR to come in here and seize 2 deep snaps, 2 deep plays, get in on the preseason early and often and prove himself and earn snaps in the regular season. He could be on this 53-man roster, but there is some competition here. I think Ojulari is a good player. If Huff happens to stay around, I kind of feel like that's a long shot, but if he does, that's going to be a little bit of an impediment to get on the field. But how far behind Jalix Hunt is APR? I know he's at least 1 season behind, but Hunt is a very young player. and was taken in the middle of the draft. So I just feel like with his skill set and the fit with Fangio and what Fangio wants to utilize him as. So, first and second down pass rusher, no, I don't think APR is going to be starting because his skills are getting after the passer. One of the major cons on APR is his run defense. He can't set the edge or contain the edge, and his arms are on the shorter size. He has under 32-inch arms. And so he's going to have a problem grabbing the ball carriers as they're going past him, so on and so forth. I guess BG's arms were about an inch longer. So even though BG was a little shorter, his arms were a little longer. And obviously, he was a superior athlete and a much higher draft pick. But the pedigree with APR is really good coming out of high school. He's a 4-star coming out. I think he's a no nonsense kid. Like, if you've ever seen any of his interviews, and Eagles fans, if you haven't seen them, which you probably haven't, when you start to watch them, you'll notice he's a no nonsense kind of all business kid. And I think that's going to fit in well with Fangio. I think that fits in well with Clint Hurt, the defensive line coach. And I think they're going to get their hands on this kid and they're going to love him right away. I really believe that because I think about JC Price and his personality and the way he coaches. And I just feel like it will translate very well into a Vic Fangio offense or defense. So I'm psyched about this. Like I said, as an Eagles fan, it is so cool when we draft Hokies. It does not happen much. We had Terrell Edmunds on the Eagles a couple seasons ago, just for a short stint, but we drafted Macho. And I remember when that happened, I was so jacked up. And this is really exciting because not only did APR play for the Hokies, but similar to Macho, he played a lot and he was extremely productive, as I highlighted. And I'm just looking at some of the guys that went in front of him in this draft, and it's all based on traits and upside. You know, the traits that perhaps APR doesn't have because his arms are a little shorter, because he's not quite as big as some of these other guys. Maybe he's not an elite athlete, but again, the RAS score being in the 90th percentile, I think the not being an elite athlete's a little overplayed. And but I will say he can be a little stiff. Like, APR can be a little stiff, a little rigid, getting at the peak of his arc, coming around that bend. So I get it. I get that there's detractions, but Coach Holmes, guy who works for the Sons of Saturday with us, and Billy Ray, one of the original Sons himself, both think when we did our panel that APR would have the best pro career. I thought Dorian Strong would have the best pro career, and I'll stick by that take. But nevertheless, Coach and his opinion on the position versatility that APR has and the motor that he has, I'm excited about his pro prospects. Very excited. And hey, now that he's on my favorite team, you're damn right. I'm going to start to drink the Kool-Aid a little bit. So I think he's going to be a great fit. All the coaching stuff that I've already said, I think he would have gone earlier in a lot of other drafts. Love his motor, love the productivity. So Eagles fans, you got a good one here. I can't wait to watch him. I might even have to go buy the jersey, and maybe if I do buy the jersey, I'd get the custom APR nameplate because Powell-Ryland may maybe not look as cool, but we'll see about that. In any case, thanks for watching. Make sure you like the video and subscribe to the Sons of Saturday if you want more content like this. And until next time, go Hokies.